Well, welcome back to Thoughts While Thinking. And I'm not rearranging my prejudices today, I don't think, because I'm going to go back to the old 1940 history book. That's about like the old schoolhouse I went to in 1940, only this one looks a little bit more uptown than what the one I went to. Oh, well, anyway, this is pretty much looks like as I remember, the history book I had back in those days in 1940, and we studied the Civil War, and the Civil War was an interesting thing because over the history it's been debated about what it was about over and over and over. But according to the old 1940s history book, it went kind of like this. The North was an industrial economy and the South was agriculture. And North, they had the manufacturing, and so they were a little bit more on the wealthy side, but they were interested in controlling the South's economics. And they uh, got into a little Donnybrook about that, and they started raising those tariffs on the South. And the South didn't like it, and so under the doctrine of the Constitution of the states' rights, the South thought that they had the right to succeed from the Union. And so they went into this little deal of war against the balance of federal rights versus the states' rights. And they got into the coalitions and all that kind of stuff, and they never did work it out. And they just kept putting those old tariffs on there. So that brought about a big political issue, and they had to push and pull. They went at it for, like the old fella says, they went after it tooth and nail. And but I think Charles Dickens pretty well put it best I can understand it from those history books back in 1940, is a northern onslaught upon slavery is no more than a piece of scrupulous humbug designed to conceal their piece of control of the South's economics. That was about in 1862, he said that. And I kind of got my tongue tangled there a little bit, but we'll go on. And there is the old Confederate flag, the stars and bars as they called it back then. And so that sets up the Battle of Fort Sumner on April the 12th to the 13th, 1861. And the South Carolina militia just kicked North soldiers in the butt there, and it was a division of the South versus the North, and that's pretty much what the division looked like about back then. But Fort Sumner was a place where the ships and a lot of trade come in, and they just had a big old battle there. And after that, the North declared war on the South, and there it began. And of course, we all know that the South lost that. I think that's the only part about it today it didn't controversy. uh, and they started the Reconstruction of the South, and that went on from 1865 to 1876. And I hope I'm not boring you if you're not a history buff with all these dates and stuff. But during that time, they had two platforms. The Democratic Party was a white issue, and the Republicans was a Negro issue. And so the North, they sent down the carpetbaggers, and they was taking over, and they put a lot of freed slaves in political control, and they just went all out of line. And the scalawags were Southerners that just joined in with all that stuff. and I guess the scalawags were probably hated more by the citizens than what the carpetbaggers were. But anyway, that Reconstruction was just a big old deal of punishing the South. And the carpetbaggers, they just kept coming down, and the railroads, they just decided they was go quit giving them over that free passage and stuff. And the poor old white farmers down there, they were just really struggling hard because those carpetbaggers were just making them tote the bill. And this brought about the Ku Klux Klan. Hey, somebody devised that. I think it was a political deal of the Democratic Party, but I won't go there right now. But anyway, the Ku Klux Klan kind of helped get rid of the abuse of the Southern citizens, and so the Democratic politicians, they put together this deal, what they called the Jim Crow law, and that was a pretty tough law on the blacks in the South, and they did that to control, and they worked that thing for years, and the Negroes in the South was pretty. That was a tough old law against them, and they went so far to say if you had one drop of black blood, you were black. So no matter how white you are, you was black if they could prove you had that black blood. And the Jim Crow laws, they just prevented the Negroes from doing lots of stuff, and they thought that it would be separate but equal under the Constitution, and they thought they had it, Constitution supported that, but evidently it didn't. Somebody got in there and they said this Jim Crow law has got to go, and the Supreme Court finally ruled that the Jim Crow law was unconstitutional. And Martin Luther King pretty much brought about the come together of the whites and blacks and making peace amongst those guys back in those early days of Martin Luther King. He did a great job on that, and he almost got this country colorblind, and we've almost had a colorblind society until the extreme left got their master plan and wanted to erase history and change the falsehoods into truth. And so the world was filled with deception, particularly in the United States. And in the United States, when the Republicans took over, the conservatives, I should say, then everything white turned into racism. Racist. I mean, if you was white, you was a racist. And they said, whites are the only one that can be racist. Blacks can't be racist. but anyway, here we go. And it pretty much got started under President Obama. And he played that race card every time turned around. And when Trump got elected, then here comes, they got to get more control over there to make their system work. And so here comes the Black Lives Matter. And the Black Lives Matter don't really much have to do with black lives. It's a big political left-wing arm designed to change the system of this country and bring it under the, one world order. And the Black Lives Matter, they come in there and they started rioting, and along with Antifa, I'll get that right, I guess. And they just looted for everything. And everything just fell apart, and it's all okay because the Black Lives Matter, they said. So they have demonized this old battle flag of the South, the Virginia battle flag. It's a Beauregard flag. He just redesigned St. Andrew's flag to make it fit. He used it as a battle flag. It wasn't a Confederate flag. And they want you to believe that only white redneck supremacists carry that flag and support that flag. And but you know, there's about as many blacks uh, that uses that flag and likes the position of it that takes as there are those white boys that do that. And the whites and the blacks get along pretty good in the South right now, and they like that Beauregard's flag because it's pretty and it has a lot of meaning to it. Anyway, that makes part of the redneck generation, and you know, we have some black rednecks too, and so the Black Lives Matter, they started erasing history. They started taking down all the statues of the South generals and stuff that has been up there 150 years and stuff. And that's supposed to change things. What they're going to do is erase that history and change it to write it back the way they want it. But Thomas Sowell has a great book if you want to look it up and read it. It's Black Rednecks and White Liberals. That's a pretty interesting book, I'll tell you. I like that book. And they just keep on carrying down the flags down. And Robert E. Lee never owned any slaves. His wife did, and he inherited some, and he was in the process of freeing those slaves. And General Grant, he kind of had the same situation. He inherited slaves. Well, Robert E. Lee released his and freed his slaves, and Grant kept his. So that kind of tells you something going on there. And then that's wall thinking, and it's all part of the plan. And we'll talk to you later on the flip side. And we didn't rearrange any prejudices, I don't think. So goodbye, and we'll see you on the flip side.